The Breakfast Club. I can't help but want to fist pump the air, unironically, when I hear that perfect opening music. It's a film that takes me on a rollercoaster of emotions, as I alternate between laughter and tears while the characters momentarily drop their facades, pour their hearts out, and connect to one another, even if it's just for that one Saturday morning. It reminds me that we all have problems and similarities, regardless of the protective skin we construct around ourselves to survive. But I'm not here to gush over that important message. I'm here to talk about another less discussed and sometimes questionable aspect of the film: how women are represented and treated by the male and female characters. I'm going to be boring and preface this by saying that I'm not here to make you hate The Breakfast Club. Instead, I want to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the film and hopefully learn something constructive from it.
Oh, that's apple juice.
I can read. PB&J with the crusts cut off. Well, Brian, this is a very nutritious lunch.
I'm ashamed to admit that until my most recent viewing of the film, I basically idolised the character Bender and kind of was on his side as he harshly mocked the other characters. I felt like I related to him, as I've often, like many others I'm sure, felt like a useless, misunderstood outcast, although I dealt with it more by reading alone in my room than setting my shoes on fire or smoking weed. I sympathised with him as he harshly takes down Molly Ringwald's character Claire. I liked her the least out of all the characters because I thought I couldn't relate to a popular kid's problems, and she seemed the most unwilling to openly continue the group's friendship beyond that day. Clearly I was practicing the very narrow-mindedness that the film criticises. I fail to see Claire's relatable struggle as she tries to deal with the double standards placed on her as a young woman. She resists revealing to the others whether or not she's a virgin because either way she'll be criticised. As Alison puts it,
well, if you say you haven't, you're a prude. If you say you have, you're a slut.
She just can't win. I'll admit that there's a stigma around being a virgin after a certain age among both genders, and Brian is also afraid to admit that he's one too. However, these double standards are apparent again when Bender reveals his promiscuity to Claire.
Are all these your girlfriends?
Some of them.
What about the others?
The almost curious reaction he gets from her is unlikely one that she would get if she revealed that she had multiple boyfriends. She'd more likely be slut-shamed, as Alison points out. Alison's breakdown of these double standards is certainly a positive in how the film deals with gender injustice. It encourages us to empathise with Claire and question society's harmful standards. However, Alison's own character arc kind of abandons this. I'm talking mainly about her makeover performed by Claire at the end of the film and the reaction of the others to her transformation. All of the characters initially reject each other based on their differences, but largely grow to accept one another on some level, giving us the message that, hey, it's okay to be different. This is seemingly thrown to the wind as Alison is made to look in a way that society deems attractive, and Andrew accepts her because of this, not because of her personality. It's even more disappointing because it's initiated by Claire, someone who is well aware from her own experience of the ridiculous standards placed on women. At the beginning of the film, Bender uses these very standards to get to Claire as he harshly reminds her to feel uncomfortable about both her weight and growing older.
You see, I'm not sure if you know this, but there are two kinds of fat people. There's fat people that were born to be fat, and there's fat people that were once thin, but they became fat. So when you look at them, you can sort of see that thin person inside. You see, you're going to get married, you're going to squeeze out a few puppies, and then... Oh.
Of course, Alison should change her appearance if she wants. One of the admirable messages of the film is that we don't have to fit into stereotypes. However, the fact that she didn't choose this change herself and was only accepted after her appearance was altered is questionable and kind of gives us the wrong message.
You know, you really do look a lot better without all that black shit on your eyes. Hey, I like that black shit.
Alison likes her thick black eyeliner, so making her change herself seems to encourage her to reverse her self-acceptance, which is a bit messed up. It's extra sad because Alison and Andrew already were connecting before this, especially in this scene where Andrew opens up to her.
Coach thinks I'm a winner. So does my old man. I'm not a winner because I want to be one. I'm a winner because I got strength and speed. Kind of like a racehorse. It's about how involved I am in what's happening to me.
And in this scene where Claire opens up to him. But apparently that's not enough. His extreme reaction to her physical transformation at the end is almost comical, like she is a completely different person.
Just so different. I can see your face.
Contrast this with Brian, who initially is ridiculed for being studious and obeying authority.
Dork.
Yeah.
You are a parent's wet dream, okay?
And by the end is respected for his strengths. He doesn't have to mask himself like Allison, and his growth is positive as he learns to let go a little of his self-destructive need to be perfect. What does Allison learn? Apparently that you need to change your looks in order to be accepted. Does Bender have to change his appearance for Claire? The arc of Claire's relationship with Bender is questionable too in terms of the message it sends. Bender treats her appallingly throughout most of the film, either making her feel bad about herself.
Claire?
Claire, it's a family name.
Oh, it's a fat girl's name.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not fat.
Well, not at present, but I could see you really pushing maximum density.
Or harassing her about her sexuality.
Are you a virgin? I'll bet you $1 million that you are.
He even reduces her to tears at a point in the film where everyone is bonding the most and learning to look beyond stereotypes. For sure, his terrible attitude towards everyone is partially a defense mechanism and relates to his abusive upbringing. It makes him an interesting and multi-layered character. However, the fact that his behaviour doesn't really change and is ultimately rewarded by Claire's affections is disappointing for me. Particularly astonishing is this scene where Bender basically violates Claire, and immediately afterwards she follows him for a smoke, like they're best pals. He shows no remorse for what he did, and because he's rewarded for it, doesn't change. It encourages this toxic treat them mean, keep them keen behaviour, and is missed opportunity for character growth. Even if Bender's character arc is meant to be tragic, and he's incapable of change, then it would send out a more constructive message if he didn't receive a pat on the back for his actions. It's an injustice to Claire's character too, as she's clearly well able to defend herself and identify when he's treating her in an unacceptable way.
You know, I have just as many feelings as you do, and it hurts just as much when somebody steps all over them.
Yet ultimately the film tells us that secretly she's attracted to his toxic behaviour, and really it's all fine because they get together in the end. The blame is even partially shifted to her by everyone in the group in this scene.
Wrong. Or are you a tease?
She's a tease.
I'm sure. Why don't you just forget it?
Oh, you're a tease and you know it. All girls are teases.
Hearing this branding of girls as teases is chilling in a world in which it's often used in real life to forgive men for sexual harassment and worse. But none of the characters learn this, and Claire herself then judges Allison for sleeping with many people.
No, doesn't it bother you to sleep around without being in love? I mean, don't you want any respect?
This scene seems like a missed opportunity to challenge this harmful phenomenon in society. Despite his lack of growth in the film, Bender does acknowledge the negative effects of toxic masculinity in this scene where he describes his father's treatment of him and, interestingly, his mother.
Stupid, worthless, no good goddamn freeloading son of a bitch, retarded, big mouth, know-it-all asshole jerk. You forgot ugly, lazy, and disrespectful. Shut up, bitch! Who fixed me turkey pot pie?
Maybe there's hope that he'll make this connection between he and his father's behaviour and change for the better, but I can only speak for what happens in the film, and this doesn't occur. Yes, Bender seems to barely avoid physically harming anyone, but he still treats women and others appallingly through his verbal stings.
We'll get the prom queen impregnated.
The other characters struggle too with avoiding becoming their parents. Andrew's character is perhaps put to greater use than Bender's in this regard. His very reason for being in detention is due to his father's influence. However, his clear remorse for being a bully suggests that he isn't doomed to become him. Just having this shot of Andrew opening up and crying is valuable in itself in a world in which men are often castigated for showing emotion and vulnerability. Even though Allison cynically thinks that they are all in fact doomed when they grow up.
When you grow up, your heart dies.
Who cares?
I care.
It is their ability to open up and self-reflect that gives us hope that they can learn from their mistakes and be better people. Or I'm incredibly naive and clinging to my fondness of the film. So The Breakfast Club is kind of a mixed bag of positive and negative messages about gender, stereotypes, and being yourself. Maybe I expect too much of the characters, and their imperfections are there for us to challenge and grow from. Clearly the film has value because it's made me return to it multiple times and think about new things on each viewing. My inner teenager still wells up at these final lines of the film.
But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain.
And an athlete.
And a basket case. A princess.
And a criminal.
However, adult me realises that it often misses a beat when it comes to dealing with gender issues, and that's certainly something we can learn from.